Hi guys, it's Jennifer Miner. Today I will be sharing with you the creation of one of our Harry Potter props for an upcoming party in Knockturn Alley sign. So I started with this 2x4 that I've trimmed down to about 3.5 inches, and I cut off and carved the hand on the end just using my scroll saw and then my rotary tool and lots of sandpaper. And so I printed out how I want my lettering to be. This isn't exactly accurate to the movie, but it's pretty close. So I just used my Silhouette software and printed this. Just wanted to do something not with vinyl stencil. And for those of you who maybe don't have a Curio or a Cameo, you can certainly do this. My husband jokingly refers to this as my old school style. So I've got my printout with my lettering, and I've kind of placed this where I want it. Initially I thought I would kind of cut off the back of the board, but it actually looked really balanced once the hand got added. So I'm going to tape my lettering where I want it on my board. And then for this project, I am just using simple graphite paper. You can find this at your local craft store. And it really lasts for a long time. And you want that to cover all of the space where you'll be tracing. This just transfers any place that you press down onto your wood paper. And typically I try not to put any tape on directly on the graphite paper because it usually tears when you try to bring that up. So you don't have to use a pencil on this because you're not drawing directly on the wood. I like to because it helps me see where I've already drawn, so I know what I need to, because in this process you don't see what you're doing until you kind of pull up your paper and your graphite. And so I'm just going to trace around using a mechanical pencil all of the lines, and I did check to make sure everything was going through, but I can get things misorganized and not lined back up, so for me it's important to just leave it right where it lays for the whole process. So just going through all of those letters, tracing all of my lines, and pressing fairly firmly. And so my tape kind of covered part of the Y in alley, and so it didn't come through. Now initially I thought I would actually paint the letters first, and I've got cream paint there, and that definitely wasn't going to work. So I am starting with my black, just plain acrylic paint, and I'm going to paint around the outside of the outline for each of the letters. And I am using a very small paintbrush and just kind of working with that as I go along, painting around. Some of the lines on this are very, very fine, and particularly on the E and the C, and you kind of paint a little bit over that, but that's a nice thing about working with acrylics is I know that I can kind of come back in and tweak it. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect the first go around. So again, you can really see this is a teeny tiny little paintbrush working with small-ish amounts of paint as I go along. And I think I've mentioned it probably before. I am a terrible hand dragger. Like, I have smudged things, and so again, a really great thing about the acrylic paint is that it dries quickly, and it's pretty forgiving. So for me, sometimes what I will do is kind of just take a break or go to another part of the sign while an area dries so that I can rest my hand on my painted sign. And again, living in Colorado, things dry out really quickly here. And I'll just leave you to watch the rest of this painting. one of the things that I did, you can tell here, is I just painted the background, kind of took a break from doing the detailed lettering. And you can see around the first word Knockturn there, I've just painted the background with a larger paintbrush. Again, just that same acrylic paint. And now that I've finished kind of that detail outlining, this is exactly what I did on the other part of the sign, is just come in with a slightly larger paintbrush, the same paint, and fill in my background. At this time I also went ahead and painted the sides of my sign. Alright, and now I am just painting my hand. I'm going to paint kind of an off-white color on the front part and then just a white cuff on the back. Again, just using that acrylic paint. And then at some point I totally neglected to film the actual painting of the lettering, which again I just used that off-white paint. But basically the process was pretty much the same as doing the background. And so now I've got both my hand completed and then my Knockturn Alley sign. And so I'm just going to use a good amount of just basic wood glue and place my hand where I want it. And then I'm going to just use a clamp to hold that in place while the wood glue dried. And then you can see how it looks when it was finally completed, and I loved how it turned out. And there was a little second thoughts about distressing it, but here's how it looked before that. So I just took a coarse grit of sandpaper, took off some of the edges and places where I thought that it might show some wear, and then just applied a light watered down wash and kind of rubbed off the paint so that kind of gently stains any areas where there's a bare wood showing. And here you can see the final effect, nice and distressed, very spooky for Knockturn Alley. Now I am hoping to be able to add some of the additional signs that we're creating for our directional signpost for the Harry Potter party, so stay tuned here or over on my blog at jenniferminer.com. Thank you all so much for taking your time today. Hope you enjoyed this process and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thanks.